Hello, today I'm going to be talking about the position of the head and the neck when you're lying on your back on the floor. And the position of the neck is always important whether you're sitting or standing or lying down. And so today specifically, I'm going to go over some things that I see when people lie on the floor on the back, and then some suggestions of what you can do, because everybody's different. So what I encourage you to do is watch the video and then have somebody take a picture of you or set up your camera to take a picture of you while you're lying on the floor on your back without any support under the head, and see what your starting point is. And then you'll have some ideas after this, and then you want to play around with how much support you need underneath your head. Maybe you don't need any at all. So let's get started. So first I'm going to show you what it looks like to lie on your back without any head support when the neck is able to be nice and neutral. So for me, as you can see, when I lie flat on the floor, I'm resting directly on the back of my head, and if I open my eyes and I'm just looking straight ahead, I'm looking straight up towards the ceiling. So a lot of yoga students fall into this category. They lie on the floor, their neck is perfectly neutral, and they're looking straight up. It's the people that don't have this ability when they lie on the floor that need to pay attention to what they're doing with their neck. So I'm going to show you the main thing that I see in classes that needs to be addressed is sometimes when people lie on the floor like this, what their neck does is their shoulders are a bit forward and their head is kind of tipping like this. So if they look straight with their eyes, they can actually see this wall back here behind my head, and they're resting more towards the top of the back of the head rather than directly on the back of the head. So this is just the way, some people's bodies are when they lie on the floor. This is not the way you would want to hang out. So if you fall into this category, this is the main one I'm going to address with the video today. If you fall into this category, you need to put some support behind the head. And the question is, how much support do you need? So I'm going to show you. So you want to try the least amount of support necessary first and see how it feels. But what I see happen sometimes is people with that tipped head back position, they put a lot of support under the head, and then I'll show you what happens. You can see for me, now that I have two blankets under my head, you can see my head is actually tipped now the other way. So if I open my eyes and look straight, I'm now looking at that wall in front of me rather than the ceiling. So in my opinion, this is actually too much height for underneath the neck, because now I've got the opposite problem. My face is going that way. So you have to experiment on your own with how much height you need under your head. Maybe you don't need any. And also, where is the blanket underneath the head? You don't want to pull it so far back that it's underneath your shoulders, which will push your shoulders towards the ceiling. Some people like a bit more underneath the neck and less under the head. Some people don't like a lot under the neck and prefer it more just underneath the back of the head. The bottom line is you want to play around and find what works for you. And it might change from day to day depending on your tension pattern or what you've been doing throughout the day. But just know that the head position when you're lying on your back is important. And so if you've never been aware of where you land when you lie on your back, I encourage you to take the time to investigate this for yourself and then play around with how much support you're putting under the head. I'm not going to go into it today, but also whether or not your legs are straight or you put some support behind the knees and have the knees a little bit bent, that could also affect the position of the head and the neck when you're lying on the floor. So I hope you learn something from this and that you go on and experiment with yourself and get yourself in a good position when you're doing poses lying on the back.